Well, welcome back, everyone. We have just watched hopefully, you've just watched the first episode of our Bad Back reactions for this new season. Um, Super great opener, kind of great. We got Omega and Crosshair coming in, kind of focusing on them. But then, second episode opens up with our boys, right? Wrecker and Hunter. Um, and well, first, it opens up with the Rand syndicate, which I thought was super interesting because we get to see kind of more crime syndicate stuff, which I'm actually a huge fan of because we know who's the head at this point, who's that like the head of the syndicate order, right? We know it's our boy Darth Maul, and but I wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts though. We kind of mentioned it in episode one where it's taking so long for Wrecker and Hunter to get Omega, but in this episode it kind of explains that they've been working as mercenaries for the time being, or at least that's how they're introduced in the Durand court. And so I wanted to get your guys' take. What do you think, like, what's going on with our boys? They're working as mercenaries. Why do you think it's taking them so long to fish out Echo and Omega and Crosshair?
Well, the first thing is that they have no idea where they are, right? That's like their whole point of helping the Durand is they need the intel of where Hemlock's base is. And so they happen to stumble upon the opportunity with the son of Issa Durand and get his horn back from the Pikes or whatever. And I think they just have been working for the last X amount of months to figure out, the next move.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you watch the episode, you really realize that Hemlock's base and his whereabouts and what he's doing is all kept like way under lock and key, right? And as you go through the episode, don't want to jump the gun too much, but as you get into it, you see that every time like his base or his position's been compromised, like they make sure to take out any evidence that it's existed. They move it to another location where it's secure. So again, this is like one of the Empire's like best kept secrets. They're not letting this out where they're at.
Hey, we can't gloss over this. Season 1, they are threatened by the Pikes. That's the whole reason they even know who the Durands are, right? Season 3, they say, where the Pikes at, we're going to come and take you hostage and throw you into another crime syndicate's prison cells. Like, they literally flip from, hey, let's stay out of the crime syndicate to, hey, We're coming for you, get out of the way kind of thing. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Right. And kind of what I honestly really enjoyed that too, because we see they basically have no regards for this Pike member. They literally just gave him to him, and then she just takes him out, right? Like Issa Durand just kills him, and you're like, and you don't see like any remorse on Wrecker or Hunter. They're on a mission. They're like, we're gonna stop at nothing, and we're gonna bulldoze anyone who needs like we need to get through it, right? And so we see Roland kind of talk to them, and kind of you see like Roland in a little bit more of a like positive relationship with them now, right? After everything that they've gone through, you see kind of him respecting them, and I thought that was super interesting to see. They might have him kind of coming in a little bit more later. But we get the coordinates, right? They kind of shifting scenes here. They get the coordinates to this planet where they believe that's where Omega's being held, right? So they land on the planet, and then they
wait, pause. I actually said this in the first episode, but it actually happened in the second episode, where Wrecker says that Rex and Echo can join us in 2 rotations, and Hunter says we don't have time for that, and Wrecker's like, well, hey, like remember what happened last time that we went in without backup? Yeah, Tech died, and there's like, who cares? We're going. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of touched on it a little bit more in episode 1, so we don't really need to go through it. But yeah, like Wrecker is the voice of reason at this point. Hunter is kind of just putting his head down and trying to like brute force his way into to finding Omega. And so we have them kind of land. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, one point about that specific scene where they're talking to each other as well, like a subtle detail is they have on the like in the ship, they have Tech's like broken glasses there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but like that actually carries so much more weight when you think about it, because Tech shot the wire, he fell into the pit and died. Everything blew up, right? There's all the wreckage everywhere. Like the batch has gone back. They know that he's not there, right? We see that in season 2, right? But like Tech's gone. And so again, it's like, okay, Wrecker's now the voice of reason. Hunter's like, we got to get our girl back no matter what. But it's like, okay, now we have this foreshadowing or kind of this like looking back on the past of like, yeah, last time we did this, we lost Tech, and Echo's gone right now, Crosshair's gone, Omega's gone. Like, who's next? So just like a lot of emotions, a lot of weight behind that. So
what? And Wrecker's the voice of reason. Hunter's become the guy that's studying the data pad, or that the side that Tech would always do, the devising of the scheming that Hunter obviously had played a part in as the leader of Bad Batch, but like someone had to fill Tech's role, and I feel like they both did it combined. Crosshair was such an external piece that Tech was a core piece. Like as much as that sounds bad about Crosshair, but like it is true. He's a great shot. Like that is a great piece for Dave Filoni to play with and make him the bad guy. But like you need the core 3 plus Echo's a 4th core. He's more of a core than Crosshair because of the droid aspect, right? Then like them together, like losing Tech, they've had to make up for Echo too with Gonki, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
we got our boy Gonkroid in there, bro.
Yeah, we got
Gonki's a horse.
Gonki
well,
in this
and
episode.
While we're on the topic, sorry, like a lot happened in that scene, right? In such a short amount of time. But my biggest thought as I was watching that scene is I cannot see Echo finishing the show being alive. And it's a bold take in episode 2. I get that. But here's the deal. Echo feels so passionately about helping out the Republic, about working with Rex to get all this stuff done. Where is Echo in Star Wars Rebels, right? When Rex disappears and leaves, Echo either would be with Rex or he's not with Rex because he's gone. Like I'm calling it here, episode 2. I don't think Echo's making it to the end of the show. I think he's going to sacrifice himself in some way, right? But judging by that scene alone, the fact that Echo's not even with them, looking for Omega at this point, he's off helping the clones in this greater thing with Rex right now. I just don't see a finale where Echo is still alive, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I in the same boat with you. I think we're going to see a lot of people go because, and in Rebels we only see Rex, Gregor, and Wolf, and so it's like, how do we go from all of these clones to just these core 3? Like, and not only are they just these 3, they're hiding on a distant planet, right? They're not engaging in any fighting. They're not engaging in rebellion. They're hiding. And so I think that's going to be interesting, and I'm excited to see if that question's answered. A little tidbit, when they kind of get on the planet, right? And Wrecker is walking through the forest, and he just goes, "Oh, it smells like rotten Yotaz." I thought that was super funny because I'm like, oh, as a Jedi Fallen Order fan, we know that a Yotaz was introduced in that game, and apparently they're on their homeworld is Zepho. Like, there's no other known homeworlds for it. So I don't know if maybe I'm shooting in the dark there, but who knows? Maybe Bad Batch went to Zepho at some point. But I just wanted to add that in. That was like a little funny tidbit.
That's
but
sick.
I think one of the craziest things in this episode that we see, one of the craziest things is that we get to see basically adolescent clones. That we see like Boba Fett, where he kind of is like the young clone, where we see kind of his copy, and then we see kind of like young adult clones, and then we see like adult clones, right? Kind of throughout the show. But like adolescent clones, we don't see, and this was kind of a cool, like, holy cow, I didn't realize that they were going to add this into the show, where it's just the 3 of them, right? Just kind of hiding out on this planet after being left by the Empire and left by their other clone brothers. So I want to get what your guys' thoughts on that. Like, I don't know if you guys paid attention to that as much as I did, but I'm like, I don't remember seeing adolescent clones at all.
I thought it was interesting, and it was something that I noticed with Emery in episode 1 is obviously we have the clones who are played in the live action by Tamora Morrison, right? Who plays Jango Fett and later on Boba Fett. and I think it's interesting because for however many seasons, 7 seasons of Clone Wars, right, through Rebels, we've had D. Bradley Baker, who again is the GOAT of voice acting, right? D. Bradley Baker has voiced the clones, and he's done an excellent job. But now it feels like they're leaning so heavily into the Islander, like Australian kind of accent, with Omega, with Emery, and then with the young clones as well, these adolescent clones they run into. It's just kind of funny that like they chose now they're like really leaning into that accent, but then you still have all the clones that are obviously voiced by D. Bradley Baker, and they don't have that like strong accent as well. So I thought it was funny. I appreciate the respect for Tamara Morrison. I think he did an awesome job playing Django, and we won't talk about Book of Boba Fett, but they I thought that was interesting that for some reason they've chose to lean into that a bit more. So
yeah, I thought it was great. When I thought about it, I thought of one of my favorite episodes of Rebels, season 1, episode 6, Breaking Ranks. But those are cadets; they're not clones. So it's different, obviously. But it's one of the only episodes where Ezra infiltrates an Imperial factory and is in cadet training, right? And so similar, but obviously not the same. I love young Boba in Clone Wars. He's like, his episodes are all gas. Like they are so good. So, I don't know. It was fun to see it. But when we get more through the story, I don't know. I was kind of disappointed in them, but
yeah, right. You kind of see them take like this survive at all costs, like don't care about my brother sort of thing, and then we have Stacks, Mox, and then the other one. I don't remember the other one's name, but yeah, they kind of just like they're just bums like throughout the entire time, and I'm like basically through the entire episode, and you're like, wow, like I would expect that you would want to help your brother so you can jump with them and leave, right?
Yeah, do you think they're gonna leave you? Like, come on.
Yeah, right. And the fact that it makes sense because they thought, yeah, these guys are gonna die. Because that brings me to the second part, which I guess like the young clones had a little bit more of an impact on me because like I haven't seen this stage of clones yet, right? But the second part of this episode, which I thought was crazy, was that the fact that those slither vines, that kind of like the enemy of the TV show, was a creation by the Empire. And it wasn't just the fauna of the planet. It's like, no, this was an experiment gone wrong. And because of that, like you said, Jake, Hemlock had to jump ship. And because of that, he did an orbital bombardment on the facility and destroyed it. But because of that, because of the growth of the vines and everything, they overgrew and kind of captured the facility for themselves. So I thought that was crazy. Because like, if the Empire has the ability to make these crazy, like have these experiments kind of go haywire like this, like what more damage could they be causing, right? Just because of this cloning facility. So this cloning process that they're doing. So I wanna get your guys' thoughts on that. What do you think about the Slither Vines being Empire tech?
I'll be honest, I felt like the second half of that episode was a level straight out of Halo. I was like, dude, they got the flood in Star Wars now. At first, the vines, I was like, okay, yeah, like whatever, they're vines, cool. But then when they split off the vines and it had the little like creature looking ones that were like running at them and jumping at them, I was like, bro, this is straight up flood, and it's like you're straight up in the library now in Star Wars. But I thought it was, I thought it was a cool scene. The fact that it kind of ends up looking like the Sarlacc in the end, right? I thought was interesting. But again, luckily the young adolescent clones show up at the end to kind of pull Hunter and Wrecker out of the situation they're in. I thought that was good. But yeah, Slither Vines it was interesting. It was very much Bad Batch of them to be like, hey, we're stealthily infiltrating this place. We're not going to try and poke the bear, but of course they poke the bear, and then they got to kind of improvise and think on their feet. And I thought it was cool.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was cool to see one of the projects the Empire, done. I feel like they're so hidden, and that's one of my favorite parts about this whole cloning thing. Is it's something that's come to fruition from Clone Wars, right? The Zillo Beast, hey, we're gonna get into the development of cloning more. It's super under the radar with Chancellor Palpatine, and obviously now we're seeing what he's been working on for this whole time, and it's cool to see other projects that people are working on. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, other than that, there wasn't really much at the end. I mean, there was that cool scene where Hunter's kind of doing the logistics side again, kind of what you were saying, Jake or Jason, where he was talking, kind of going over, trying to make sure that he had, like, planning the coordinates and stuff. And Wrecker's talking with these clones, and he's just laughing, having a good time with them, right? And so it's kind of cool to see that even though that they were literally planning to abandon them, they were still able to kind of like build up this camaraderie. So that's basically all I had for this episode. Should we go into ratings?
Yeah, definitely. I can kick us off. Honestly, again, I would group this with the last episode. I don't know if I can necessarily say this one was better or worse. Again, I would have liked to have seen Echo. I would have liked to have seen. I mean, I'm happy to see Rex in every episode. It's not called the Rex Batch. I get that, but I'd probably go ahead and give this one a 7 out of 10 as well. I think it's setting the stage. It's pushing the plot along. There were some fun moments, but it wasn't. Again, I think the show's got a long ways to go, and I'd love to see it. Love to see it build. So,
yeah, I'm going 6.5. I definitely thought the first episode was astronomically better, but I did love the small things. Wrecker having maturity, the goggles, the stealth mission, like the I didn't like the clones, and I think that's what kind of was like, this is what the cadets are going to be like. Like that kind of drew away from me apart from the action. But I mean, it all worked out in the end, and I loved the whole syndicate thing at the beginning too. I thought that was it really helped. I think that probably carried it a lot for me, was the syndicate part, because of what Lucas brought up with Darth Maul. I think there's that potential, at least hologram potential,
Right.
that we could get. So
yeah. I'm gonna go 7.5. I think I kind of in the same boat. I love seeing the Bad Batch. It was kind of like a classic episode, but the key components were missing, right? Or didn't see all of them together. And I think that's what makes the Bad Batch the Bad Batch. It's not the it's not the Hunter and Wrecker show. Bad Batch, you want to see them all together, or at least as much as we can get them together. So I'm gonna give this a 7.5, and it definitely like helped space out, like give us kind of like, oh, what's Hunter and Wrecker been doing these last 6 months? Kind of answers that question for us, but it just didn't really push the story along as much as I thought it would. So,
hey, I need to say this in regards to a comment Jake made in the last episode, because he said he wished it had more. He wished that the first episode had Bad Batch in it. I'm gonna make the argument that they've both had 2 members of Bad Batch in them. It's just been 2 different members in both. So I do feel like this one was more Bad Batchy, but like Omega and Crosshair both being there in the episode and being focal points, to me, is that there's more than one, because of the end of the war. Bad Batch has become so multidimensional instead of just like go on missions, and they showed that aspect of that side, that relationship that him and Omega are, she's working on, he's not working on, that side of their squad. So
catch us in the next episode 3 reaction, and many more to come. So thanks for watching, guys.